So Bruce, thank you for your presentations today. And, as we've been planning this workshop and talking a lot, a couple of things I wanted to ask you about have come up in the conversations. One is the fact that modeling is being used only as a very small part of the research process. And I wondered if you could just comment on how we could enlarge that more. And the other is the misconception that models are the same and only one model is needed.
Well, thanks, Chris. So as I mentioned previously, we're really only scratching the surface. We've seen for instance, during this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, people mention predictions that models have made of, how many people are going to pass away as a result of the pandemic. And then once we've seen that the predictions may be off, people are saying, the models are wrong, et cetera. That's only a very small sliver of what models can do. And we do know that predicting the future is tough. I mean, if you could predict the future, probably would be able to win and make a lot more money off the stock market. You'd probably have a lot better real estate investments, et cetera. So that's really only a small part of what modeling can do. I use the analogy of, building an Excel spreadsheet, like a budget. So that's a model, that's a financial model. Would you just do that just to predict how much money you'll have in a year or 2 years? No, I mean, that would be absurd because there's a lot of different types of variables. You do that for a variety of reasons. First you say, okay, I'm going to put together this budget on this Excel spreadsheet because I have no idea what I'm spending. I'm in debt and I just have no idea where my money's going to. So I'm going to prepare a quick model to see what I know already and what my conceptualization of my budget is right now. Okay, then I say, okay, I have no idea how much money I'm spending on groceries. And I realize that item can make a big difference in terms of my overall personal finance. So therefore, I need to collect more data. I need to check my grocery receipts and find out how much I've been spending over the past week or year or what have you, or check that spending going forward. So that's an example of modeling guiding data collection and guiding study design. So I need to get this data, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to collect the receipts and see what's going on. And maybe I need to collect the receipts over like several seasons because it might go up and down, et cetera. So that's informing that. Okay, then I put that data in. So I'm revising the model. And now I have a better model of what my budget is doing. And then I might want to engage an accountant. And I say, hey, here's my budget. You give the accountant the model, and the accountant takes a look at it. Or you show it to your significant other or your family members. So now you're all having a shared understanding of what the budget looks like. So this is an example of modeling bringing people together and showing your understanding. So the accountant might say, oh, you're completely missing the taxes, or you're completely missing what's happening in your property value or something like that. Or your family might say, oh, that's where our money's going. Thank you for showing us that. So this is bringing everyone together to really sort of refine the shared understanding, and it's a communications tool and communications approach. So this is just some examples, and you can see how this can get more and more complex, and you can have a simple budget model or a more complex budget model. So there are really many different types of uses, and it really has to be integrated into all these other different methods. Because as I mentioned, you can use the analogy that collecting receipts or contact your accountant is like conducting a study. So it can mix with these studies and integrate in many different ways. Now, to address your question about, one model, that's been a challenge because sometimes I've heard, oh, we already did a model on that. Oh, we already had a model answer that question. So would you ever do that with a clinical trial? Would you ever say, yeah, we've done the clinical trial. We have a clinical trial on that drug. No need to look at it ever again. So move on, do something else. No, you wouldn't do that. You would say, let's do more clinical trials. Let's do clinical trials at different populations, different situations, different sets of circumstances, comparing it with other types of interventions, et cetera. Similarly, models, there's a wide variety of models. Models are like people. They're extremely diverse, comes in many different shapes and sizes and understandings, et cetera. And also, people's conceptualization of the problem or issue can vary quite significantly. So this can show, oh, you think the issue is this way. Oh, but you from another background or another experience, or maybe you're from another population. You're adding certain things that we didn't think of. Maybe you're from a population that or a community that gets overlooked, and then you have some perspectives that other people wouldn't have. So this is an example of how it can really help us understand disparities in all kinds of disparities, like disparities in understanding, disparities in information access, and things like that. So there's a wide variety of models. So I think we really need to move away from this thought that modeling is just one thing. I always tell people that when I tell people that I'm a modeler, I do modeling, they look at my lack of fashion sense and say, no, you're not a model. I said, no, we're not talking about a catwalk model,
good.
etc. But similarly, there's all these different types of modeling approaches and techniques, and many people, for instance, on this panel have used the same techniques, but in different ways. So we really should have a situation where you have a problem or question. Let's have 4 different modeling teams or 5 different modeling teams address it in different ways and compare and contrast and see what's going on, and then build models as the problem moves along and evolves. So I think we really need to change the paradigm of how modeling is being used, because we're only harnessing a small percentage. What was that line in that Owen Wilson once said? You're only using like 10% of your heart. Well, I think we're only using maybe like a few percent of our modeling capabilities to address many problems.
Great, thank you.